Hello, friends of Studio Brûlé. This is Steve Brûlé, and it is coffee time. Time where I go over some of the things that have come across my desk in the past couple of days. Today we have a special guest, Anthony Dream Johnson, who's the organizer of the 21 convention, as well as there's another convention, I'll get the name wrong, but I think it's 22 convention that is about Make Women Great Again. The 21 convention is all about giving men the tools and information and motivation needed to make a great success of themselves in the world. If I'm not understanding, I'm going to just flash up if I'm understanding correctly. This is the 21 convention coming up October 1st to 4th in Orlando, Florida. Well worth the event. There's a long list of prominent fellows in there giving lectures on a variety of topics, and Anthony Johnson is going to go over that with us, give us more information on exactly what goes on at the convention shortly. Here is the 21 Convention Twitter account at 21 Convention for up-to-date information and news on the upcoming convention, probably, excuse me, information relating to any changes necessary due to the COVID-19 nonsense as well. And here is the website for the 21 Convention. It's the21convention.org/America. And without any further ado, here we have Anthony Dream Johnson, the organizer and force behind the 21 Convention. Anthony, how are you today?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me back on the channel. I appreciate it.
Yes, this is our third interview together, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's, we also had one with Janice, and Janice did I think a video on your channel.
On Redman Group.
Redman Group.
Yeah. She was the only woman we've ever had on the Redman Group. I gave her a man card.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Janice is a good sport. She'll go along with all kinds of fun ideas for sure.
Yep. And then, I interviewed you about white privilege, a few months ago when the BLM riots broke out. I thought your videos on that have been fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's an amazing time, unbelievable time. Who would have guessed even 6 months ago the way our world is changing, and for motivations that are very suspect as well.
Yeah.
Recent murders going on at these so-called mostly peaceful protests. Mostly peaceful protests.
It's mostly peaceful burning and looting, basically.
Right.
So most
of the time they aren't burning, but they only burn for a couple of minutes and then they walk away.
I think about 30 people now have died as well since the riots broke out, from the riots in some way, shooting or whatever, kicking in the head or something.
Yes, and this last one, and I'm going to get the guy's name wrong now. Do you know him? He's in that Ken Shea or
Kyle, maybe?
Kyle, yes, the 17-year-old who is sporting an AR-15.
Yeah.
Now, the media wasted no time vilifying him as a murderer.
Yeah. I think he's an American hero. I don't know about the legality of him actually walking around with a rifle like that, but it looks like it's like a clear-cut case of self-defense to me, and the demonization of him is absurd.
Absurd and immediate. Yeah. All three of the people he shot, two of which are dead, all three of them were attacking him in a believably life-threatening manner.
They were chasing him down too. I mean,
they're chasing him down.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were aggressors basically by pursuing him like that too.
Oh, absolutely. Aggressively pursuing him and hitting him with a skateboard. There's been enough incidents of these violent terrorists terrorizing innocent people in the news, beating them up, putting them unconscious, putting them in the hospital and killing them, that there is every last reason to believe they wanted to kill this young fellow too.
Yep. Or if not kill him, then seriously injure him for the rest of his life. You don't even know what's going to happen.
That's a fine line, It's a fine line. When you go down the road of seriously injuring, trying to seriously beat somebody up, there's this legitimate risk of death there, and that's murder.
Self-defense is always at minimum for the defense against serious bodily injury, never mind death. I mean, it's like you have a right to pursue happiness, and that means to be alive and well, to be left alone, the rest of your life, and not, paraplegic or missing an eye or something. See, I think he acted in self-defense.
Absolutely. And in fact, the media said that the one guy that was shot in the arm was holding a cell phone. It turns out he was holding a pistol.
Yeah, I think it
He
was a
had
Glock,
a
actually.
gun in his hand,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah,
And
like,
it's
it
not
reminds
that
me of
hard to spot that gun. So why is the media running out and assuming he's got a cell phone in the hand when the guy's going over to kill him and beat him up? And this is insanity. It's absolute insanity. And to the point, there's an article in American Thinker, and I encourage everybody to read it. I'll put the link in the description shortly. It describes this event and analyzes it exactly correctly. The best article I've seen on this event. And this is a test of the American judicial systems holding your right to defend yourself. If this kid isn't let free, there's something seriously wrong in the entire system. Not that there isn't something seriously wrong now.
No, I mean, if he isn't let free, he needs to be served justice by being let free and all that. He's innocent as far as I can tell. So that needs to happen. And if he's not, then I think we need to peacefully protest. I'm serious.
You mean their style of peaceful protest?
I can't comment other than it should be mostly peaceful, per usual. I mean, I'm learning by example from what I see. So, but no, it reminds me, by the way, of Nick Salmon when they went after him immediately, and then he was that wasn't a self-defense case, but it's the same thing. It's a spin job, same thing. And that kid ended up winning who knows how many millions, but I think
it was quite a few. He won quite a big settlement, legitimately so.
Yeah, so I think this kid has another defamation lawsuit on his hand. There's probably attorneys, I'm sure, I would hope, spotting that opportunity for him and themselves. So we'll see how that
all
goes
the tech companies are on the left bigot side, the hate side, this terrorist side. The GoFundMe for his legal fees was taken down almost immediately.
Wow.
And they let all these other GoFundMes of the thugs and bigots and haters and violent idiots go forward to full force. Yeah. But they took down this kid who had to fight for his life. He was in a fight for his life there. It's clear from the videos now. There's no question about it. And they defunded him. Yep. If there's ever been a clearer time in American history where there's terrorists trying to take over the country, this is it right now.
Yep.
You'd be ashamed to call yourself a Democrat or a feminist. And I always put feminists in there too. I've been criticized for this, but the Black Lives Matter is first and foremost a feminist group, a radical feminist group, Marxist.
Yep. Yeah,
so feminists are culpable.
It's feminists hiding. It's feminists hiding in blackface. Like they always scream about those blackface. That's what they're doing essentially. It's just a feminist, you're right, organization. It's lesbian feminists trying to speak on behalf of all Black Americans, and there's a lot of Black Americans who don't appreciate that. Especially in the manosphere, we see a lot of content creators that are very pissed off about this that are Black. They want nothing to do with this because they see right through it. It's immediately, not only is it Marxist, which is a huge problem in itself, it's also this very radical feminist, anti-family, anti-fatherhood organization, which is exactly what the Black community does not need. It needs the opposite of that.
Exactly right on that. And there's no excuse to be ignorant anymore. There's so much information revealing the truth about Black Lives Matter, about these terrorist thugs and their so-called mostly peaceful riots and looting, that anybody who stands on the side of the Democrats today needs to be fully ashamed. There is no excuse for standing with Democrats today.
Yeah,
absolutely no excuse.
That whole party has become anti-American. People call it un-American when they see things that they don't like that are against the country, but I think it's more accurate to say anti-American because it's not just like something that is betraying some values of the nation that are important, like free speech and these different self-defense and these things, but they're very hostile and very aggressive against American values, whether it's the Bill of Rights, politically speaking, or something else like free speech being respected more widely in the culture and valued above and beyond the First Amendment. So yeah, they're very hostile, and I hate all of it. It's just beyond disgusting. And I'm 32 now, and I've never seen anything even remotely like this in my life. I guess
I'm 60, and I've never seen anything remotely like this in my life. We always figured that a climax was coming, but I really didn't think it would be this violent, so openly bigoted, openly terroristic, openly thuggish, openly standing with the lowest possible denominator in the country, the lowest possible.
Yep.
It's
Endless trash,
unbelievable.
feminist trash, Antifa trash, BLM trash. They're all trash. Yeah, and I have no sympathy left for them, especially with big tech and these delusional CEOs around these companies like Patreon and GoFundMe and Facebook and all this crap. All from the big to the medium and the small, big, all this big tech stuff. They're all most of them are all of them at this point are very hostile against American values, and at this point I have no sympathy for them. If and I hope and all that in a way, if the federal government busts these companies up and breaks them apart and puts all kinds of regulations on them, I don't care anymore. Normally, I would
Yeah.
be opposed to that as a free market kind of guy, capitalist, but I just have zero. I have less than zero sympathy left for these companies or empathy. I don't like them because they hate my country and they hate me.
Well, they are not free market. They've all
Yep.
come together in concert with a political agenda, and their
Yeah.
political agenda is destructive to the very free markets that gave them success,
They're
the
also
freedoms of the people that gave them success.
And on top of that, they're also protected by special privileges from the government, like Section 230, that gives them immunity from things that people say on their platform that they don't deserve anymore. Maybe they never deserved it in the first place, but that was 25 years ago or whatever. Now
Yeah,
it's just obscene how they're violating it constantly, all the time, every day.
they've
Censoring.
monopolized the tech world. They've
Yeah.
monopolized the internet. They've monopolized social media. They've monopolized mainstream media.
Hmm.
I mean, this is untenable. This is legitimately a case for break them apart into
Yep.
smaller pieces and let them fight it out for survival again, like they did with AT&T, I think, or Bell or something years ago.
Yeah. No, yeah,
You
totally.
know,
I mean, watch them financially burn to the ground, crumble. I don't care anymore. Anything that the nation and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the values we get from the Declaration of Independence, these things are way, 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 way more important than Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp being a singular company. I don't give a fuck about any of that crap. And
yeah,
same thing applies to other companies. I don't. They're so anti-American. They're so hostile to anything American. Anything even they're racist against white people. They hate men. They hate me and you for the way we were born because we have
yep,
Y chromosomes, a dick and balls, and the color of your skin. And that to me
yeah,
is just totally beyond retarded. So I hate all of it.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You got every right to be,
Yeah.
and you've got already anti-competition or anti-monopoly laws or something in there that can be drawn in to break these companies up anyways. So
Yeah.
no new laws really need to be written that I could see, but I'm no expert on it. We should get to talking about your conference. Who
Yeah.
are the main liners? Who are the big speakers at your conference?
Yeah, so the first thing to know is it's actually three conferences in one, and it's called the singular event's called 21 Summit. That's new for us, and we had to do that in part because of COVID. We had four conferences scheduled this year, and I canceled the European one in the summer just because it's COVID travel stuff, obviously. And I moved the two spring events we had, the fatherhood event and the women's event, to the fall now and combined it with a regular fall event into one 21 Summit. So we have three conferences going on at the same time in Orlando, Florida, October 1st to 4th, except the women's conference starts on October 2nd, a day later. And so we have one event for men, all men over 18. We have one event for fathers that's focused on fatherhood, being a father and family, much more so than the main event, which is more broad. And then we have a special women's event where only women can go to that event, whereas at the other two events, only men can go to them. You don't have to be a father to go to the fatherhood event, but most attendees are probably like 80% of them, as you can imagine. And so, as far as the main speakers, we have some huge guys. You yourself, you're going to be at the main event, pending maybe some COVID stuff and all that, but we'll see what happens. But you're
Yeah,
confirmed
we
there.
have to talk about that. We Anthony and I talked about this just briefly before coming on, that it's
Yeah.
becoming very difficult again to travel from the Dominican Republic in particular. There's restrictions and stuff that I've got to pay some close attention to.
Hmm.
So we may, well, I don't know what we're going to do about that right off the top, but we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah. If there's a will, there's a way. If there's a way to find, we'll find it. I'll put it that way. At least on my end. And I'm sure you seem pretty into it too. And I really hope you're there. I think you're a great fit for the event. I wish I'd found you sooner, like last year.
Well, I'm very honored to be invited. This
Yeah.
is it's great. I'm glad that I'm getting a little bit of exposure out there.
Yeah. We're a bunch of rebels, man. Radicals. Anyway,
Yeah.
the speakers you asked, I'll be speaking at two of the events. So I don't speak at the fatherhood event, but I'll speak at the women's event and the men's event. At the women's event, for example, I'm going to give a speech on motherhood first, kind of like America first, Britain first, and all that, and motherhood first. And the idea about that is that motherhood is more important than career and more urgent. At minimum, it's more biologically urgent and sound to pursue before, years of advanced education and career and all that, which so many women do today because of feminism, and then they ruin their life because of that. And then they're scrambling in their 30s to undo the damage. Anyway, the other speakers we have include Elliot Hulse, who has over 2 million YouTube subscribers. He was a fitness YouTuber in the 2010s and 2000s, and he's huge. He spoke at our event last year as well, twice. And
You have a couple of fitness guys there online, right? A couple of guys who talk about health and wellness and stuff like that.
Yeah, health and wellness have been part of the event since 2010. We've had medical doctors speak, all kinds of fitness experts, nutrition experts, PhDs, guys with real, experience in all kinds of books on these issues. So we have a lot of history with that, and this year too, we have fitness speakers. And for me, it's health and fitness are foundational to, first of all, being a healthy, positive, happy human being. But it's particularly as a man, I think your physical strength is very important above and beyond health, which affects both men and women. And I think it's very masculine to be strong and to be healthy and to be fit, to be competent to navigate the physical world. And that means, I think, lifting weights and being fit and being able to take care of yourself, such as that 17-year-old, as a young man, being able to run away with his firearm and then eventually have to use it. That takes not only training, but physical strength to move around and navigate. So it's a good example of it.
For sure. And, you've got to protect your health. If you lose your health, your lifestyle, like it or not, and I sympathize with people who have health problems, but it crimps your life quite a bit. If you can maintain that health and fitness all the way through your life, well, that's the best way to go for sure.
Mm-hmm. So other speakers at the main event that your speaker or your fans might know include Richard Granin. He's a big YouTuber. He's got about 245,000 YouTube followers. He's actually, he has a degree in psychology in Britain, or from Britain. I forget which college, but he's not a formal psychologist beyond that. But he was a therapist briefly in Britain. There's some sort of therapist program they have through the state. Anyway, he focuses heavily not only on psychology, but a concept called CPTSD. So that's complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And that basically is a channel dedicated to helping men and women heal from toxic, well, first of all, trauma, but specifically like toxic relationships. For example, as a man, if you dated a girl who was BPD or, particularly crazy above and beyond what you would see normally in our feminist utopia. So unhealthy relationships that lead to trauma and kind of broken trust issues and these things and all kinds of trauma symptoms. So Richard Granin will be there. We also have Jesse Lee Peterson, the esteemed reverend. A lot of your fans probably know him. He's a black reverend. He's very aggressively opposed to BLM. Absolutely savage. Not only BLM, but he's been, talking about feminism, masculinity, and fatherlessness for many years on YouTube. He has a couple channels, and he's, big on YouTube as well. He was also, I think, a guest contributor on Fox News for a long time. I think he did shows with Sean Hannity and stuff, years ago. So he'll be there.
Cool. Yeah.
We also
is there more of the I know my channel is, and most of the followers who follow us here are mostly interested in the effect of feminism on destroying our culture and the evil empire, as we refer to it. Is there much more of that expected at this conference? And it's feminism's impact on men's mental health, which is strong. It's a big negative impact.
Yeah, we had a therapist who's going to speak this year, but due to some medical problems that are pretty serious, he had to pull out. But we have many other speakers that talk about these issues. Another one, for example, your fans would know that would talk about those issues specifically, which is a big component of the conference at this point, how stupid feminism is, I say, would be Coach Greg Adams. He's a new YouTuber. He's been around a couple of years, though, and he's got probably 150,000 subscribers now.
Cool. Cool.
And he's in the MGTOW side of the manosphere, I'd say. But he has his face and his name attached to what he does, and he's been very vocal about it. I think he's one of the best. And he's also, a black, one of their black speakers, and he also is very not into BLM. He actually interviewed him recently, and one of the things he said, he's like, when did I elect black lesbian feminists to represent me as a black American? And never. He wrote a book.
And MGTOW, you meant? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
He wrote a book as well called De-Evolution. I actually have it right here. Boom. Yeah. Feminism's reverse engineering of American women. So you're in good company at the conference. There's a lot of speakers who write books like this.
Yeah. Huh. Cool.
And yeah,
Now
I
you
mentioned
mentioned
MGTOW.
MGTOW.
Mhm.
Is MGTOW a significant part of the conference?
A little bit through guys like Coach Greg Adams. And also DDJ is invited and should be there. He's another MGTOW YouTuber that's pretty big. He's also been in the RedMed group with us many times, but he has his own channel, Miss Andri Today. So MGTOW is an informal part of the conference. It's not something I like actively promote, but I do recognize it as a legitimate part of the manosphere community, the larger one. And I
Well,
don't have a
it seems.
particular problem with it.
Yeah, neither do I. Although feminists are getting pissed off at it these days. There was an article, I think in the Daily Mail, maybe it was,
Probably.
that really running down MGTOW for, I don't know, looks like petty reasons, you know.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of MGTOW has been with us since Adam and Eve, you know. There's
Yeah.
always been a segment of men who said, you know, this does not look like a good deal to me. I think I'll just go my own way. That has been with us
Yeah.
forever. Well,
Yeah,
we
and
just got a term MGTOW who are say more vocal about it and a little bit organized, I suppose, in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, and with MGTOW, one of the things I like best about it is that even if you don't agree with all the things that they talk about and that they promote, what they are doing very effectively is getting men out of harm's way from, toxic women, toxic relationships, divorce, rape, child custody battles, all kinds of problems that men can
Yeah.
run into. They're raising the
And
alarm.
talking about real problems. They're
Yes.
actually talking. This is things feminists will say, oh, why aren't men telling us what's on their minds? Well, they are, and they're doing it through MGTOW sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and this helps a lot of men. You know, there's not, you can't expect every man to want to pursue the same road as every other man. So some men, it's MGTOW is going to be their road to happiness and fulfillment in life, and we got to honor that.
I agree. We have to honor it, and also honor that it exists in the first place. That's another thing I like about it, or want to observe and point out, is that it's a pretty large community at this point, and there's a reason that it exists. It's not random. It's not illegitimate. These men have legitimate, justified concerns and and anger
legitimate
anger at the way men are treated. So
legitimate anger, yes.
Yeah. So in those senses, I definitely like it. I think it's great. I like to see it. I don't consider myself MGTOW, but I'm happy to see it, and I think it's a cool community. So good for them.
I've been late to get to know about MGTOW, but I'm looking into it a little bit by little bit now, and I haven't found any reason why we should be upset about men who choose to be MGTOW. You know, it's to me, it just fits in the spectrum of options. They're not there. Some men are angry, legitimately angry, and anger, I think, is a underappreciated emotion.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree too. Yep.
We are taught that, oh, if you're angry, you're a bad person. That is that is such bad information.
I agree.
You know, if you're angry, you should first of all, don't explode. You know, there's a difference between being angry and then being violent. You know.
Yeah, of course.
Angry is one of our emotional experiences that we can legitimately feel for legitimate reasons. So if you feel a lot of anger, you should analyze yourself as to why.
Yes.
And then deal with it.
Yeah, there's a saying I from a book I wrote. I didn't write it. I read it from a psychologist, Alice Miller, and the book title is called "The Body Never Lies," and it talks a lot about these issues, specifically with anger and what are perceived as negative emotions. They're not bad. Your body is telling you something important, and these men that get treated very, very unfairly in divorce court, family court, beyond that, with false allegations, domestic violence, false rape. They should make you fucking angry, whether they happen to you or even if you're just seeing them in another man.
And this is where the abuse is accelerated even more, because these men have legitimate anger and they're told that if they feel anger, they are bad persons. So this is doubling down on the abuse that already made them angry. Yep. So guys out there, if you've experienced been treated badly, legitimately, and you're angry about it, don't try to repress that anger. That's the worst thing you can do. Try to talk it out with good buddies, good friends, somebody you trust, and get it out there. Honor that anger. Don't explode on it. I think
Yep.
people are more at risk of exploding when they try to repress it and say, no, I'm not angry.
Yes.
I'm going to hold this down. That's when
Yep.
those are the guys that explode.
Well, that's
You know?
that's a method of denial, and you're right. It does make them explode. It causes problems. You can't cheat. If you feel angry,
Yeah.
you need to feel it in a way that is useful, hopefully, and healthy, and whatever. It doesn't lead to hurting someone else. Unless
Exactly.
unless it's
And the
defensive.
first step is to acknowledge that you're freaking angry.
Yes. Yes. And
That's it.
I want
Like,
to
acknowledge
point
it.
out. I want to point out too that the relationship you're describing that is causing men to be angry, specifically the gaslighting I think you're referring to, that men are angry, they're observing real world factual abuse against men and fathers to themselves or
Or
even
themselves, yeah. Or
and
their
their
friends or
yeah.
themselves or kids. Yeah.
And that is the exact kind of abusive dynamic you would see in a personal relationship with a toxic woman who is abusing you emotionally some way or verbally screaming or whatever. And then you get angry in response, like, hey, leave me the fuck alone or calm the fuck down. And they just say, oh, you're being angry for no reason. You're delusional. It's like, I'm not. You're the one. They're the initiators of abuse. Feminists have weaponized these court systems and these different laws throughout the states and stuff to abuse men, whether it's in college
Mhm.
or in the home or in family court, and you should get angry because it's not fair and it's not just. And that when they double down on that and just tell you you're being ridiculous and it's all made up, it's not. It's real, and that should make you even more angry. And that
Yeah.
should hopefully inspire you to action in a way, whether it's writing a book or getting a law changed or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Honor your anger. Just, find a creative and healthy way to process it,
Yes.
and that'll be different for every guy. So I don't even know where to start there, but I think you've got to find
Yeah.
out, you've got to do some introspection when you feel that anger, and try to find out what exactly you're angry about. Because you could
Yeah.
be angry for, not very important reasons. That happens too.
Yeah,
I've
you
been
could just
angry
be
for all
grumpy.
kinds of stupid reasons,
Yeah, yeah, you could be grumpy. I mean, you don't get sleep or something.
Could
Yeah.
be grumpy that day, or he drank too much last night.
Yeah,
It's
man.
been known to happen.
Oh, one more speaker I wanted to mention in terms of not only the conference, he'll be at I think all three conferences he's going to speak at least two of them, but he'll be at the main event for men. And he's also a MGTOW YouTuber. He's pretty big. He's got 120,000 subscribers, and that's Terrence Pop at Redonkulum.
Oh, Terrence. Cool.
Yeah, he
I
likes
met
you.
Terrence back in 2014. A great guy.
Yeah, he's great, and he'll be there too. So
I interviewed him that in Detroit.
mhm.
He's got
He'll be good.
quite a story behind him. Oh my God, what a story.
Yeah.
Incredible that he survived it.
I like to say that what I'm trying to put here, I agree. I just interviewed him as well on Redman Group last weekend or the weekend before, really recently. But what I'm trying to put together basically is like the Super Bowl of the Manosphere or the Woodstock of the Manosphere. I've been doing that for my whole life, adult life anyway. But every year that goes by, I try to find bigger and better, more amazing speakers in this community. And there's so many to choose from. There's so many different, sub communities and this and that. So, and new guys joining all the time.
Awesome. And the fact that you're out there doing it is encouraging, like when I was your age, no men wouldn't dare kind of speak out about what this is actually an encouraging development. And in some ways, the outrageous, over the top, crazy, terroristic nature of feminism today is pushing men to the point where, okay, we got to speak out now.
Yes.
Back when I was your age, it was crazy, it was stupid, but you kind of just said, let it roll, water roll off your back, right? Keep on going. Yeah. And that's the nature of men, is that men are accustomed to working under great adversity. Mm-hmm. And so even in the face of being crapped on, attacked, your rights taken away, men still soldier on. Yep. But the time for that, I think, is over. It's time to turn around and start pushing back at the people attacking us.
Yes. We have to defend ourselves. Exactly. Just like that kid. Maybe
even
not
if it means
maybe not exactly like him, but similar.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not if you're being literally shot at, you got to shoot back. But we've got to start pointing out the injustices, the stupidity, the arrogance, the ignorance, the frickin' bigotry of feminism and the entire left that's grown to cancerous proportions today.
Yes. And I think that's why Trump winning in 2016 was so useful. I mean, it was useful, and I think in a million different ways. I'm a big fan of him, but he would talk a lot about how he taught Republicans how to fight. And slowly since then, you've seen a couple of Republicans change their personality in public, how they actually engage with the media and other politicians, especially across the aisle. Rand Paul would be an example, maybe Ted Cruz and stuff. And whether or not you're into those senators and whatnot and these other congressmen, I think Trump did teach the American people how to fight basically the woke left and feminists and all this crap. He taught by example how to be aggressive and assertive in a way that makes sense and actually gets the job done. It actually moves the needle. I think, for example, he's massively opened the Overton window and acceptable dialogue. Not only about living his life the way he did and then winning the election, but just the way he keeps speaking as president. He's changing the dynamic of what's acceptable at that level of discourse, and that trickles down, I think, to the manosphere. I can now say "Make Women Great Again," and people know immediately what I'm talking about to a degree. That they get it, like the direction of it. Like, okay, he doesn't think women are great right now, but he thinks they were great before. Now he wants to make them great again. And all the issues now surrounding that. We're focused on feminism versus more formal politics, obviously. But yeah, it's been, he really taught us. I mean, I learned a lot about how I engage as a marketer and an entrepreneur from him. And Make Women Great Again is the best example I have of that, the most overt and popular. We reached 150 million people for free just because I watched Trump, and I just kind of learned by osmosis by watching him how he operates as a president. And then I just did that. And then it got my company all this free press just by putting on an educational conference for women that says feminism is fucking stupid.
Yeah. Good for you. You're bold. I have to say that. That's bold, and that's what we need. We need bold and brash ideas.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed to be a man. That is the message of feminism, is that it's shameful to be a man. You got to say, fuck that crap. I was born a man.
What I say is, I'm a man. You can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And now, to be fair, too, I think it's time America releases the Florida men. And that's what I'm doing. The Florida men are coming for the feminists.
What's the Florida man?
That's a meme. Your fans will get it. Florida man is a meme.
It is, okay.
Oh yeah, it's a big meme. There's Florida women too. Florida women are nuts. But Florida man is a meme, and it's basically, if you look on the news, just type Florida man in Google. There's a whole Reddit community for it too. Just Florida men are known for.
I must have completely gone behind my back there. I haven't. That's the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah. It's pretty big, and there's just
Give me the lowdown.
The Florida man is a meme for just wild Florida men that do wild shit.
Like wrestle crocodiles.
Like wrestle a crocodile, exactly, out of their swimming pool or something. Like just
something to get more crazy than that.
Yeah, just something ridiculous. But people came after me, and the Florida man, it got like 5,000 upvotes in the Florida man subreddit that has, I don't know how many 100,000 people in it or something. But when I put out the conference, they immediately set up, Florida man is going to make women great again. What else is new? I was like, yeah, exactly. So it's a popular internet meme, just like Trump stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. So describe to me the typical audience member that comes to the conference?
Well, that's a good question, because it's actually been slowly changing. We've done it for 14 years now since I started organizing it. This year is our 14-year anniversary.
Wow.
And I started it when I was 17. I was very young. And basically the audience, it's now finally moving beyond me. But when I started it, the audience was kind of similar to me and a little bit older because I was so young. But most guys were I was like 18 by the time we held the actual conference. I started organizing it at 17. Most attendees were probably like 19 or 20, that age range, so a little bit older than me in college. And then a couple guys were in their later 20s, even 30s. And even one guy showed up in his late 50s, I think, at least maybe early 60s. Now, every year since then, though, as I've gotten older, the audience has kind of grown with me. And that's probably an organic kind of growth as my interests evolve over time as I age. But it's pretty wide range now. I would say the average age, though, of the attendee at the main events is probably 35 to 37. But we have guys that are as young as 18 to 20 and as old as 60s and even early 70s sometimes. So it's a really amazing. It's amazing in that we do all the things the left claims they do that they don't. It's all nonsense, and they weaponize it in the worst ways possible, like diversity. We talk diversity. They have no intellectual diversity. They hate real debate and diversity. They tend to hate white men, so men, and then particularly white men get the worst of it. So
diversity for the West means anything but a white man, just about.
Yeah, exactly. And what we have at the conference is a real coalition of races, religions, demographics, and philosophies that are all coming together for a common cause of men, fathers, and masculinity. and generally anti-feminism. That's a very consistent theme across the speeches. So that's it. You'll see it. You'll see Muslims, Christians, Jews, Mormons, Catholics, atheists, all in the audience, all getting along, talking about how stupid feminism is, how dangerous it is to the West, how much, the ways they treat men and all that, how they can get better as men, how they can improve, not just talk about the negatives. And all these races, you see black guys, white guys, Jews, fat guys, tall guys, short guys. Like it's an Hispanics, Asians sometimes. We do everything they claim to do to an incredible level, and it's all like on accident. It just happens, and
That's
awesome.
this is to me is coming along in concert with the failure of the university systems. You're now all of the intellectual ideas, the new ideas, the debates, the free speech is happening now off of campuses. They've chased it all off campus. The university system in terms of intellectual pursuits is as good as dead outside of perhaps the hard sciences.
Yep.
The rest of it is just pure ideological, stilted, stale, dead nonsense.
Yep. Yeah, we live in they think it's some utopia they're building, but it's really like this dystopian dark age that they're trying to usher in. And I hate it, and I'm pushing against that as hard as I can as an entrepreneur. I want to live in a free and rational society where I'm not assaulted verbally or physically or otherwise for being a man. And I think that's completely appropriate and a great place, a great way to live, and a great country to live in. And they're trying to
And
steal that.
Speaker's Corner should be every corner. You shouldn't have to be afraid to speak your mind.
Yeah.
And this is what this, of course, is a pet peeve on our channel, is that the university system has destroyed academic intellectual pursuits. Yep. And if you notice, the biggest stars of intellectual stars in the world are leaving the university.
Yeah, that's right.
Jordan Peterson, Dennis Gauss was a good fellow there who's left too. A whole bunch of them on our channel. We've been watching this stuff, that they're being chased out. There's another guy who said he wasn't going to sign some or take some diversity training course. He's 30-year tenured prof. He doesn't care if they kick him out. Yeah. And these are the people that are going to form the new intellectual community, I think, which is the only place it can grow is outside of the university system. It's the only place.
Yeah, universities are incredibly toxic now, except my university, 21 University, that we're building. We built for years now.
Cool.
Plug. But yeah, it's I went to college in the 2000s, from 2006 to 2010, and even then you could feel it kind of creeping in. I didn't take any gender diversity, kill all the white men classes or anything, but you could feel this kind of this creeping in, this pseudo communism basically kind of creeping in universities, and conformity, and I hated that, memorization versus learning, and just like, I ended up dropping out after 4 years. I'm like, I don't belong here. Like I wasn't anywhere near as intellectually and philosophically aware of these issues as I am now. But even then, I was getting into Ayn Rand and Ron Paul and these things, and I just knew, I was like, this whole university communities is not my thing. There's something wrong with it. So I dropped out and left. And kept building.
And it's been getting worse and worse on campuses ever since.
Yeah,
it's not showing any sign of slowing down. We should switch this defund the police thing into defund the universities, because all of these intellectual midgets that are busy terrorizing and thuggering all over these so-called peaceful riots. All of their intellectual base to justify their actions is coming from our university systems. Yes. It's coming from those gender studies places, the sociology departments. They're all saturated in the feminist bigots.
Yep.
So we should be, if we defund the universities, we'll probably solve the majority of these problems.
Yeah, I think there's been a little bit of push for that by the Trump administration to defund major universities. And even now the DOJ, I think, found some major university recently, it was racially discriminating, racist against white people and Asian people. I forget, that was pretty recent.
Yeah.
But I also want to mention that in my, amateur study of Nazi Germany and what led to it, you saw a lot of similar phenomena that you see now, book burning and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. We're seeing it now in a new way. But even the universities, if you look at that, there's a book by Leonard Peikoff, I think, called The Ominous Parallels. Professor Leonard Peikoff, he's the Ayn Rand's intellectual heir, and he talked about this. The universities were flooded with this crap. It was a little bit different then, but even then, you had, in Germany they had Antifa and all this crap. The same
Yeah,
crap you see
that's
now.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's very strong parallels. They called themselves anti-fascists too.
yeah, yep. So it
That's
needs to
your
be stopped.
Democratic Party, man.
Yeah. So it needs to be stopped, and it will be stopped, I think, by any means necessary. America has too long of a tradition and momentum of freedom and of heroism and of courage, and there's just too many guns.
Oh yeah,
And the
yeah.
American people are not going to put up with it. Period.
That
And
is your saving grace there, as it turns out, is that you
yeah,
can get guns and defend
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Supposedly, there's like 500 million in America, and there's over 100 million gun owners, and there's even more now. I mean, we've seen record-breaking gun sales pretty much all year long since COVID in
Yeah,
America. So that's fantastic. I think that's wonderful.
you gotta arm the people, especially when these
Yeah,
Nazi, racist, fascist bigots of the BLM and their Antifa crowd
yeah,
are successfully defunding police departments.
yes.
There was a meme that came up that really kind of made me smile just a couple of days ago. It says, "Just think, it was directed at these Antifa people. Who's going to protect you from us when you defund the police?"
Well, community policing, a social worker. Well, a social worker.
You know who they?
Yeah,
It's the police that are preventing the Antifa people from being shoved back into their hole where they belong by the regular folks.
yeah,
You take away the police, and the regular folks in their neighborhoods are going to organize to protect their neighborhoods, and it's
that's
not
right.
going to be as gentle as the police, in my mind.
You even saw that, I think, and there was videos of it in California and New York, and you saw people grouping up based on their ethnicity, Italians and Hispanics or Mexicans or whatever. Just not even doing anything, just protecting the neighborhoods, and I think that's
Protect your
fantastic.
neighborhoods. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's coming to the point where it has to be done. I mean, they're
yep,
going into suburbs and flashing lights in and harassing people in their own homes, and they're,
yep,
telling them, you got to give us your house. You
yeah,
bought it off a black person, therefore you have to give it back to a black person. What the hell
yeah,
crap is that?
yeah.
What crap is that?
It's insanely toxic on every level, especially on a personal level. That kind of attitude is so life destroying. I mean, holding those kind of ideas and those kind of beliefs will ruin your life on a personal level. Never mind when you get together with tons of other people who believe that garbage.
Yeah. I like Kion to the past point here, which was the point of the meme. A wise man once said, police exist to protect criminals from their victims. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. If we don't have a justice system and you take the power away from the justice system, you're going to see something far more dangerous to these
Yep.
villains, these terrorists, than they now see.
Yeah. I agree. And, I don't have it. Just like the big tech companies, they have been, there's the old saying that, Nazi Germany, you don't want to watch your neighbors get, hauled away because eventually they'll get to you, right? They hauled away
Mhm.
one guy, then the next guy, and then eventually it gets down the line to you. But the reason you don't do that is because your neighbor was either positive towards you or neutral. They weren't aggressively trying to starve you to death, get you fired, get you canceled, ruin your life, put you on the street, silence you, and control you, which is what all these people are doing today, from Antifa to BLM, all this
Mhm.
crap. And the feminists they're so aggressive and they're so hostile and they're so irrational and they don't want to debate. They don't want to be engaged in any kind of peaceful dialogue. None of it. Every year gets worse. And I don't like there's a meme now there, but it's based on reality. Federal law enforcement were picking up people in unmarked vans, these Antifa losers, and just hauling them away to prison or whatever. I don't fucking care. Like, I think
Yeah.
many unmarked minivans are great. I don't, 20 years ago when I was a kid, or maybe in the 2000s as a late teenager, early 20s, I might have had a libertarian kind of problem with that. Now I don't give a fuck. I don't like you. You hate my
I
country and you hate me, so fuck
yeah.
you.
I remember that happening, and I think that was only to do with protecting federal buildings, which is
Probably.
actually legal. And that was going on, I think, in Portland when they were trying to burn down and attack federal buildings there, and they were told
Yeah.
that the federal protect federal buildings as they legally have the right to do. So
Yeah.
I don't think there was actually anything illegal going on. I'm not an expert, but that's
Yeah.
my understanding.
Probably
They,
not, but I can
they were
understand how
fairly
it's upsetting.
controlled. They were
Yeah,
fairly
yeah, yeah.
controlled about it.
I still think it's hysterical though, and I just whether it's legal or not, I'm kind of past caring because these people are so hostile and so unforgiving and don't want any kind of just nothing. They hate America and they hate anyone who likes America. That's what it's come to. The whole election, I
Yeah.
think, has come down to that, which is just nuts. You know,
Yeah.
it's just nuts.
I'm not generally in favor of unmarked vans picking up people off the street,
No, me
but
neither. But
and,
yeah,
but I am in favor of neighborhoods getting together, armed if
yeah.
necessary. And if these people are coming in to trash your neighborhood, you defend your neighborhood with the whatever force it takes to defend your neighborhood, and that includes using your rifles.
I think
You know,
everyone should carry guns all the time. Every sane adult over 18 should have a gun on them all the time. I do.
today I think so too,
Yeah,
especially as a white guy, because
yeah.
they're just
Well,
randomly killing. There was a guy who went into a store and stabbed a guy in the neck because he was white.
yep, I
And that
believe it.
was it. And he said he got that idea from watching these videos about striking back against white people.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
I
like to
mean,
say I'm a believer in the saying that an armed society is a polite society, and I think that's a really great thing. So that and it'll prevent the more people that are armed, the better. Across the board, regardless of much training, they should have as much training as they can get, and they should do. But at the end of the day, it's better that you have a firearm than not. Period.
yeah. And then the reality is, like, I probably wouldn't walk around with a firearm all the time, even if I had the right to. But
Yeah.
I would like the right to, if
Yes.
I feel like it.
Yep.
I think that's the key. If you
Yeah.
feel like you could be threatened in any given environment you're going into, you should have the right to carry whatever you think it is that could protect you.
Yep. I
Because
even, I even carry that example at my convention. I always carry a firearm at my convention
yeah,
for my own protection and to protect anyone that needs to be protected from serious harm, from a mass shooter or some, who knows, all kinds of stuff. Lots of attendees do. In Florida, it's legal, so lots of attendees do. We hire private security. We even hire law enforcement to protect the event. So we go way above and beyond what we
yeah,
need to.
that's great.
We never had a problem, but more guns the better. More guns the better, is my saying.
As long as people but there should be training. I think that, to be honest, I think that kids should take a gun handling course in high school. Should be
Yeah.
part of your curriculum.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Good
How to
background.
handle a
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot safer.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, you got a right to have a gun, so teach them how to use them.
Yeah. Yeah. Switzerland does something like that. It's a lot more extensive because I think they force them into some sort of basic military service. But I'm not opposed to that at all. That'd be a great use of high school.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, there's a lot more useless courses going on in high school than that right now.
Yeah. We'll take all the university money and put it into high schools and then teach everyone how to use a firearm. That would be
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
sure. It should be basic knowledge,
Yep.
especially what we're seeing going on today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Anthony, anything else you want to tell us about this conference coming up right now, right shortly here?
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I mean, it's been such a wild year, and I think all the guys that come to are going to have a fantastic time. It's going to be 3 conferences in one. You have to pick your kind of experience. Some of the VIP attendees can go to the both men's conferences. The women's one, though, is for women only, so you can't go to that unless you're a woman. And I'm just super excited, man. We're very heavy on filming, as you might have seen on our channel. We film all the speeches and publish them free to the world after we publish them first on 21 University. I'm adamant about that. Because I want to impact culture. I want to change the course of American history. That's my real goal with what I'm doing with this whole conference as an entrepreneur. All of them, whether it's making women great again, rebuilding, building a new patriarchy with the Patriarch Edition. There's a whole patriarch version going on at the same time for fathers, and we call it Patriarch Edition to piss the feminists off, but it's also real. Like,
this is the fatherhood part of the conference. You call it the Patriarch Edition?
Yeah. We started it last year. Yeah, the Patriarch Edition. Yeah, and it pisses the feminists off, obviously, but it's also very real. Patriarchy is dead in America. It's been dead for a long time, and now I'm not in favor of mandating patriarchy in some legal way, but I do think patriarchy at a basic level means masculine leadership, whether it's in a relationship or in a home or even throughout a nation to some degree. Masculinity should be a leading force, and women want to follow men, and femininity should follow in footstep with that to some degree. And so that's what I mean when I say patriarchy, and that means strong fathers leading households and leading families. And that's what that conference focuses on much more explicitly than the main event, which is much broader focus for men. And
Sorry?
I said, yeah, we're building a new patriarchy.
Cool. Can you do you have a title for your own talks that you're giving yet? Have you chosen a title?
I don't speak at the patriarch event because only fathers can speak, and I'm not a father.
Okay.
So I'm actually really strict about that. All the patriarch of speakers are biological fathers. They have to be. I almost made that all the attendees had to be fathers too, but then I was like, nah, it's too hardcore. Because some guys go that are just like 25, whatever, they're young. They
They
want to be
want to be
fathers.
fathers, and that's proactive. That's good that they want to
Yeah.
seek out more information about what it means to be a father.
Yep. So my speech at 22 convention, though, Make Women Great Again, I thought about doing a comprehensive speech that would kind of outline the conference, but I decided against that. Maybe next year when we do it again. But I think I want to let the speakers have breathing room at that conference to define that mission and direction in their own way and build like a painting from these speakers.
Okay.
But I will be speaking there at that event, and my speech will be called Motherhood First. And that's a whole play, like I said, on America First, Britain First, and all
You
these.
did mention that at the beginning. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. At the men's
Motherhood
event,
first.
I'm going to be giving the state of the manosphere, and that should trigger a lot of my opponents in the manosphere. But kind of an overview of where the community has been and where it's at currently, and where I think it should go, and where I think it will go. This coming decade in the 2020s. There's so much in flux this year that's kind of hard to do, but I'm gonna give it my best shot and put that together. And it'll be kind of a wide angle view of what's going on with the community itself.
And folks, thank you, Anthony. And folks, as we're wrapping things up here, if anybody has a question, type it quickly into the comment stream here, and I'll put it to Anthony before we sign off, because we're coming up on an hour here.
Yeah.
Very interesting conversation. There's just too much to talk about going on in the U.S. and in the world today. Yeah. It is one bizarre time, isn't it?
It's unreal. I mean, yeah, at the beginning of this year, it was wild anyway, with the news outlash from the Make Women Great Again. So my January and February were already like super wild with that going on. That was a big storm for me, massive. And then right after that, boom, pandemic, and then all this other garbage now. So this whole year has been a whole adventure, man, to be honest, personally.
It looks like there's forces that are trying to tear the U.S. down big time.
Yeah, I agree. Deliberately, it's people like to say it's conspiracy, this and that. No, it's not. It's foreign nations and insane, literally psychopathic billionaires that would meet probably the checklist for psychopathy, like George Soros. These people are fucking crazy.
They never hid. They have never been hiding their goals. They want a one world government, and each of those guys are so megalomaniacal ambitious. They each see themselves as the first emperor of Earth.
Yes, they have God complexes.
Yeah, they have God complexes, and they all see themselves, each one of them. They don't see the other guy, that their partner. They're fighting together for this one world government, but they all see themselves as the emperor.
Yep.
And, people think this is conspiracy oriented, but I want to remind people that there's never been a time in history when there weren't megalomaniacal, ambitious men who saw themselves as emperors of the entire planet. Yes. The pharaohs saw themselves as gods, and the legitimate gods and emperors and rulers, not just of Egypt, of the entire world. And the Caesars the same way in Rome. They saw themselves as emperors, not just of Rome and the Roman Empire, of the entire planet. Genghis Khan, the same way. Alexander the Great. These people, in their minds, this has been with us every step of the way through human history, that when a group of men, or some men get close enough to the top of power, they can taste it. They can taste, I'm the emperor of the whole world. And that is going on today. These powerful men see themselves as emperor of the world, and they will stop at nothing in the pursuit of that ambition. Yeah. That's what we're seeing playing out today.
I agree. It's got to be stopped. Yeah.
It's got to be stopped.
Live free or die, man.
Hey, you got it.
Yeah.
That is the motto of the state up there north of New York, or east of New York. New Hampshire? Live free or die?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've turned Democrat, so they really decided to die.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. We'll see how long this lasts. I mean, there's a lot of demographic issues in America and this and that, but I have a feeling that all this craziness is pushing a lot of middle America, they call it, independents and stuff, that are not politically active and it's pushing them far to the right towards Trump and the MAGA Republicans and these things. Or there's a real sense of patriotism that was not found in the Republican Party, I think, years ago. I was never a Republican. I hated all that crap, Mitt Romney and these John McCain, all these losers. But very much on the Trump train and the MAGA train. I think there's a lot of good, very positive energy in it. It's not perfect, but it's very good. It's healthy.
Cool.
It's the country moving in a healthy direction.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to acknowledge a couple of folks here who've been generously donating to Studio Burley. Thanks to Sean Tower, and another one went by earlier, and I neglected to pop it up here. Sean, thank you very much. I'll have a very nice coffee at $20. There might be some extra kick in that coffee. Thank you so much. I don't think I can get back to the other one that went by earlier. Oh, here's one here. Judge Wade, thank you very much for supporting Studio Burley. Judge Wade, and Judge Wade says, the primary factor in Trump winning 2016 was to refuse to play their game and hit back at the blatant dishonesty. Totally agree with you on that. Thank you so much, Judge Wade. And if there aren't any further questions, I'll give the last word to Anthony here. And what's your final message to the audience, Anthony?
Other than live free or die and make women great again, I would say come on out to 21 Summit, to the 21 Convention, have a good time. If you can make it with travel and the finances and this and that, tickets are still buy one, get one free until August 31st. So you can come with a friend and therefore split the ticket with him if you want. And then for the women too, they can do that as well. I don't know how many female viewers you have. But coming out to the event, it's my life's work. It's my dream come true that I've been building my whole life now for 14 years as an adult. And it's an amazing event. I'm really, really good at what I do. I'm very proud of it. I'm a master of my craft in the manosphere of building a conference. I'm not the best conference builder in the world, but what I do is really, really powerful. And I'm maniacal about making it the best, highest quality event you can have. Photography, filming, the experience for the attendees, dinners, drinks, all kinds of parties. It's for a conference of its type, it's pretty unreal. And I talk it up big because it's actually even more amazing in person. And everyone that attends it is like, holy shit, this is really good. And you can come out and experience that. Maybe be inspired by that too. Never mind the content and the speakers. We also have workshops too, where you get to talk to the speakers more privately, usually small, 10 to 15 people. And there's no filming and things like that. So it's all private off YouTube and no censorship. There's a lot to the event. It's very, it's our biggest event ever. I mean, putting it together like this with 3 conferences, it's very complex. But as an attendee, you'll have an amazing time. And I think you'll be very inspired, not only by the conference and the content, but also the attendees too. You get to meet a lot of men like yourself, or a woman if you go to the women's conference, that are, not only are in the same boat as you probably in life in some ways, maybe career choices and problems you've faced as a man, like divorce court and whatnot, but they have shared values. And it's a real safe haven it's a safe space, we'll call it. It's a very safe space for people who think masculinity is awesome, who think femininity in itself is a great thing too, that it's good to be a man if you're a man, and if you're a woman, it's good to be a woman. It's okay to be a man or okay to be a woman. It's a very sane, fertile ground for thinking and debate and having a good time. So that's my spiel.
Super awesome. Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us, and thank you, Anthony, for coming on again and discussing a lot of topics we got through today. We went from topic to topic, covered a lot of ground. This looks like it's going to be an awesome conference. So, folks, hope you can make it out to the conference. And if not, you'll see the videos afterwards posted sometime after the conference.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining us. And we'll see you next time on Coffee with Steve.